travel fraternity people who joined in, and we had good interactions. Their suggestions, their, I would say, candid thoughts on how we could have tourism on the path of recovery. Another very important event that we normally do is focusing on tourism in northeast part of the country, because as you say, northeast is half unexplored. So again, we had done this in the virtual mode, and we also got a lot of response. Another very, very important area which we touched upon is the skilling. Because I think what had happened in the post-COVID time, I think the focus on basic skilling in tourism and in hospitality was very much required, because there were new norms, new standards, and people had to be trained. Because as we are all aware, that once the restrictions started easing out, there were different focus as far as tourism was concerned. People who are used to international vacations, they were more prone to now weekend getaways. They were more prone to exploring their neighborhood, where they could just fill up the tank of their car and just set out for 2 days or 3 days and try and explore what's around them. So I think people who used to have their vacations in Singapore or Dubai or in London now looked at neighborhood. And they are high-end travelers, they are conscious travelers. So what had happened was the skill sets of people in the neighborhood properties, in the neighborhood locations, also had to be upgraded. So I think a huge amount of focus had to go on skilling. So we were very, I would say, under Mr. Vanshramani, we quickly identified this area and we did a virtual program with the Tourism Skill Council and Tourism Skill and Hospitality Council. In fact, one of their chairperson, unfortunately, she's indisposed, she couldn't come here. She's also part of our tourism committee. So we did an extensive program, again on the virtual mode, and that had a lot of response from the various stakeholders. We discussed on what are the new norms, what are the new standards, how we could develop the task force to meet those standards. So apart from that, we did have programs in other states on tourism. Like we did a program on Buddhist tourism, we tried to do a program in Jharkhand. So scattered we did. We also had certain focus areas on MICE tourism. As the restrictions started easing out, I think MICE is another area which I think is growing. And I think a lot of MICE destinations which actually came up just pre-COVID didn't really take off because of the restrictions. But once the restrictions started easing out, I think these destinations has also started prospering. So focus is definitely also on MICE. And so overall, and recently we did our annual flagship event called Travel India, supported by the Ministry of Tourism, supported by the various state tourism departments, addressed by ministers, secretaries of state governments, captains of the tourism industry, and attended by, I think, huge number of stakeholders. So overall, I think we kind of tried and contributed to the growth and to actually keep the tourism sector alive, and we tried to meaningfully contribute to the sector. And I think Mr. Vanshramani and his entire team, I think we have had a lot of guidance from him, a lot of support during these 3 years. But as protocol demands in any association, that there has to be change of guards, and that is how the tenure of Mr. Manshramani has come to an end, and he is going to pass on the baton today to another man, I think, who needs no introduction to all of you, Dr. Subhash Goyal, probably the most veteran person in the travel and tourism sector in the country, with huge international presence also, and in various areas of the tourism industry. So before really going further, I would definitely be open to questions at any point in time, but I would really request our chairman, Mr. Manshramani, to address the August gathering and take the discussions forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee. Let me first of all welcome each one of you. And thank you for sparing your valuable time to be part of this press conference. Mr. Mukherjee has already given the details of what activities which we did in the last 2.5-3 years. When I took over, it was a COVID period, yes, but then never gave up kind of a thing, kind of doing those events virtually. And finally, the last event, which was very, very successful in Calcutta, which is a flagship event of ICC, that was a where the whole trade was there. The participation of West Bengal government was very encouraging for us. The minister spent a lot of time with us during that conclave, and he has promised us that we should come back to West Bengal again during this month or first week of March to try and work it out what exactly the state government can do on the tourism front. Basically, mainly we were talking about two sectors. One was an exhibition, and then the other was on the convention front, where Calcutta has a lot of convention facilities now, even the exhibition, where the exhibition is just the 12% of the total exhibitions which happens all over India. With the same pattern, we will be traveling during this year to other states also, where there is a good infrastructure on both exhibition and MICE, where we will try and convince the state governments to how we can, ICC can be involved with all these state governments, and we can do jointly promote that particular space, which they have created with recent, like, example of Delhi, which is two major venues are coming up, one in Dwarka, one in Pragati Maidan. In same way, you see other states also, like Geo centers in Mumbai, Patna, if you see the convention center, which is can compare it with even Vigyan Bhavan in Delhi. So there are many convention centers, many tourist places are coming up across India. The ICC will be playing a role on two fronts. One will be trying to contact the state governments, where we can try and promote those facilities, whether it's a tourism facility or in an exhibition area or in a convention facilities for that particular state. The second, which is more important, what we will be doing it now after the COVID period, where we have an experience of now what has happened during the COVID period, what government have a lot of initiatives. The Ministry of Tourism has taken out a lot of initiatives where we can come in and join them on the policy advocacy. This is another role which ICC is going to play during this coming year. Yes, as a what Mr. Mukherjee says is my tenure was for 2 years, but then I continued for 3 years because of the COVID period, and then it's my privilege actually, and then I'm very happy about where the chairman which is going to take over is Mr. Goyal, who is my mentor also, and then maybe I've known him for almost 25 to 30 years, and a veteran in the travel trade. All of you know him. I've been involved in many activities, not only with the travel trade and being an IATO president, but with the Ministry of Tourism also. Whenever there is a kind of an advisory committee or a board, and he's always involved in it. And with the these words, maybe now I'll like to hand over this to Mr. Dr. Goyal.
Thank you very much. I think I don't agree with you that his term is over. I think he is still the chairman, he is the co-chairman, and I will be working jointly with him, and I will be taking his advice. And instead of one person, now we are 1 and 1, 2, 11. So we work together, and we need your support. And I would like to offer some flowers to him on behalf of the chamber for excellent work he has done. So, friends, as I mentioned, Chandan and me, we have worked in faith. We were both, I was the chairman of the India Tourism Mart and he was the co-chairman. And I think the event that we organized together for 3 years, 2 years in a row and one virtual, so 3 years, was historical. I mean, this India Tourism Mart, we had, virtually all the states participating. We had about 260 international buyers, which we hosted, in 5-star hotels, including we paid for the air tickets. So, and we were able to collect for FAITH, which is the Federation of Associations in Tourism and Hospitality, with one mart at least 4 to 5 crores, after spending and taking care of all the, buyers who came from all over the world. So we planned something big because I can only do it with Chandan because he's a true event organizer and a professional on mice. So with his help and cooperation, I think we'll be able to do a big event for the India Chamber of Commerce. Now, the entire freedom movement, as rightly mentioned by Mr. Mukherjee, the surprises in the East and the Indian Revolution also started in the East. Whether it was Subhash Chandra Bose or the think leader Swami Vivekananda, or it was Rabindranath Tagore, or any of these freedom movements have started from Calcutta, and the Indian Chamber of Commerce also is a result of the freedom movement. So this chamber belongs to every Indian. As rightly mentioned, that earlier the Bengal chamber had most of the white men, the Babus or the British corporates who were then at that time exploiting the not only Indian industry but Indian resources also. And the freedom movement, the Indian chamber was a revolutionary idea, and the members were basically Indian businessmen of Indian origin and Indian nationals who were part of the freedom movement. And as you all know, that the Birla, G.D. Birla, was one of the main funders of Mahatma Gandhi, and this was an initiative taken by Mahatma Gandhi, and they had contributed a lot in the freedom movement. So, so this chamber has started from there, but now it has come to, it has grown all over India. We have, how many offices we have now altogether?
10 offices.
We have 10 offices all over the country, and
growing.
And we are still growing. The Vice President who will be taking over after 2 years, Mr. Jindal, I had a discussion with him, and we are going to do a lot of, events, right? Not only in Delhi, but also we have planned one event in Rajasthan, we are planning one event in Kerala, maybe Kochi, and we'll be doing one in Eastern India. In Eastern India, we are always doing, we are very strong there. And Northeast, we are already taking care of. We have chapters in most of the seven sisters which are there, whether it is Meghalaya, it is Manipur, whether it is Arunachal, everywhere we have our chambers, representations. And now I need the support of each and every one of you. I see some of you are very important. The French Revolution was started by 7 people, and the Sikhism was started by 5 Panch Pyaras. We are more than 15 out here. So I think we have to start a tourism revolution. Why we say a tourism revolution is because, in this budget also, for the first time, tourism was mentioned in a big way. But it was more of a lip service to tourism. Although the budget for tourism had gone up, but the MDA assistance, which was for overseas, had gone down from 341 crores to 167 crores. Similarly, we had requested the exemption of GST and other taxes based on foreign exchange earning, so that the tourism industry is given the same status and benefit that is given to physical exports. But up till now it has not been done. The finance minister, we were expecting the finance minister to announce a refund of GST or VAT for tourists who are doing shopping, because shopping is one thing which can, create jobs apart from the multiplier effect that tourism has. So in Singapore, in London, in Dubai, and all the countries which